Okay, hello everyone. It's great to have you on board. It's another time with Coach Ayo, the enthusiastic people, and into this tutorial. It happens to be the very first class we are having on the course GST 111, formerly known as GST 101. For those of us who are new to the stream, let's ensure to subscribe to the channel. Let's ensure to subscribe to the channel. Let's ensure to turn on the notification bell. And most importantly, for those of us who haven't joined the private class yet, let's also sure to join the private class. This is a community, all right, a community of like-minded students who are intentional and deliberate about making the best out of their courses throughout the semester. What we do in the private class is we take your classes intentionally and we spread them across the semester. Meaning when you join the private class, start from the very first course, then the second, then the third, until we complete all your registered courses for exam for the academic session. And how do you join this private class? All you need to do is just send us a direct message through our official website, which is coachayo.com. And by the left-hand side corner, you find the chat button. Use the chat button to send us a direct message on WhatsApp. All right. Using the button, you actually see other options like placing a phone call, sending us a message through Facebook Messenger, through Instagram, all right, through X and other social media handles. And we will respond to you as fast as we can, guiding you in to the private class. With this being said, let's get started with today's class. Now, according to the thumbnail, it says GST 111. Okay, GST 111. So before we dive deep, order of the day, I'd like to quickly clarify GST 111 slash GST 101. So I'd like to quickly make some clarification as regards course. Now, one thing you need to understand about this course is, all right, what happened to this course, the upgrade, all right, the improvement that we are experiencing currently on this course is the same improvement and upgrade we experienced during NOU 107. Now, perhaps you might not know that NOU 107 used to also be GST 107. All right. Now, GST 107 course material is what you find on the portal. All right. You will not find NOU 107 course material on the portal as at when these changes were made. And this also caused a little bit of confusion among students, as students who are actually new intakes were going all about searching for the course material. But unfortunately, all effort was unsuccessful because the course code was actually improved, but the course material remains the same. All right, and this is a normal thing with the National University of Nigeria because National University of Nigeria as well trying as much as possible to improve, to get better. All right, to improve upon what the courses and the course codes are. Now, in the case of GST 10, in the case of GST 1 has upgraded to GST 111 now. You know, GST 101 in full means use of English and communication skill, while GST 111 simply means communication skill in English. So one thing you need to understand here is that irrespective of the change of cost code, you need to understand that the cost material itself still remains the same. All right. Some tweaks, some improvements were actually done, but the 99% of the cost material GST 101 still remain. So GST 111 is the new revised version. All right. GST 111 is the what? The new revised version. Let's be clear. Let's be clear on that before we move forward. So if anyone asks you, are your classmates or anyone that questions you as to the um, upgrade, you should be able to know what to say without a flinch. You should be able to answer without any iota of doubt, all right, in you. I think I need to adjust this camera a bit. Okay. I need to be very clear. So now, so like I said earlier, so this is the what? The revised version. Revised version. All right. And this is the old course code. Old course code. Okay. So this is it. And the wording, the wording, the arrangements, all right, of units, examples, and exercise, okay, may differ. Are we together? But the learning objectives are largely the same. Okay, just like I said, nothing much has changed, but the major changes between these two are the course codes. Okay, so the topics GST 111 appears to emphasize more, all right, more emphasis on communication areas. All right. So GST 111 now is now emphasizing more on communication areas, which are the principles of communication process, the verbal communication, the non-verbal communication, oral communication, public speaking, speech preparation, grammar, sentence structure, essay writing, academic writing, all right, phonetics and pronunciation, and international interpersonal communication. All of these we will definitely be discussing in the course of this class. But I need you to understand this. I need you to have this at the back of your mind before we go further. All right. So you are not confused about what the current situation of things are. Okay. So now that we have this sorted, all right, now that we have this sorted, let's now go into the detail of things. And to start with for today, the very first thing we are considering, as mentioned earlier, is still on communication. Okay, is still on communication. All right. So when we talk about communication, communication is a very important day-to-day activities that we engage in as human. It is a very important day-to-day activities we engage in as human. All right, because humans are natural social animal. All right, we thrive by communicating with each other. We thrive by communicating our feelings, our thoughts, instructions. We thrive, we live upon communication. All right, so that is why we refer to humans as social animals. So if communication is so important to the existence of a man or a woman or mankind, then what is communication itself? Okay, so we can consider communication from different points of view. We can consider communication from different perspectives. Okay, we can actually consider it from the perspective of the tutor and instructor, all right, communication as a student, and so on and so forth. But the fact still remains, okay, I think it's tabled now. Just gonna adjust the camera a little bit so we are on the same page. Okay, I think it's better now. So when we talk about communication, there are certain things we need to consider. All right. First thing first, we need to understand that communication is a process. All right. We need to understand. Remember, this course itself is about communication skill. All right. But this communication skill is now in English, all right, language. All right. Communication skill in English. So the all and sundry of this course itself focuses so much on communication. All right. The all and sundry of this course focuses so much on communication and how to communicate appropriately. All right. Because it's not all communication that are proper. So we need to talk about communication and doing it in an appropriate manner. Okay. So communication is said to be a process. All right. It's a process, is what you do in a process. And this process, all right, emphasizes. Okay. Somebody said, I can't hear you. Okay, let's confirm that real quickly. I will just have to confirm my audio. Okay. What about now? Can we hear me now? Okay, I think I just confirmed that as well. I don't know why the audio is muted. Okay, can we all hear me now? I think I need to confirm the audio. Please let me know in the comment section if you can. Okay, yeah, I think the audio is perfect. Thank you very much for that. I think the audio is perfect. Okay, so now, as I was explaining, communication is a process, and this process emphasizes, this process lays emphasis on something. All right. So now let's find what emphasis this process is all about. All right. Now it is a process, all right, whereby information is being encoded. Okay. Information. Okay. I think the audio is perfect. I had to confirm the audio. So it is a process whereby information is being encoded. Are we together? Information is being encoded, all right, sent through a channel, all right, then decoded and feedback is sent. All right. So this is the all and sundry of communication. We're going to break that down real quickly. All right. Now, it might interest you to understand that when it comes to the National University of Nigeria, it's quite unfortunate that a lot of students don't really create time for their classes. Okay, a lot of students create time for their classes, and this is why, unlike every other tutorials you see out there, both physical classes and virtual classes, we take it upon ourselves to ensure that students enjoy their classes. All right, students feel like they are actually in a proper lecture room. All right, and we try as much as possible to break down, all right, big terminologies, all right, words that might prove unable to be understandable and require further assistance. We try as much as possible to break it down, make the students understand the structure of the course material. When you have a proper understanding of the structure of the course material, then comprehending that course, not just to pass your exam, all right? Comprehending that course, not just to pass your exam, will not just be an issue. A lot of students read just to pass their exam. But when you attend classes with Coach Iron, or when you join our private class, because what we do here on YouTube is just about 60%. All right, the main 40% is still restricted to the private class where we give you exam keynotes, give you practice questions, and we still have a one-on-one discussion with you just to be sure you understand this course well. And that's what we do for all your courses without leaving anyone unattended to. So if you understand the structure of the course, no matter how much they will twist, because I'm pretty much aware of what National University of Nigeria is doing now. They try as much as possible to twist questions, something that seems very familiar. They want to make it very, very, very unfamiliar, whereby you give the wrong answer to the correct question. So with the proper explanation of the structure of the course, you have a proper understanding of. And like I said, this course is all about communication skill. And this skill in communication is in English. All right. And if we have to communicate, all right, understand the communication in English, we need to have a deep understanding of what communication is itself before we now begin to go to what to do, all right, to use communication effectively in English. All right. If you don't understand something, if you don't understand a concept, for you to use that concept properly is impossible. All right. It's just saying that you cannot serve a master you don't understand. And that's why Jesus Christ emphasizes on before you serve me, you need to know who I am. You need to be my disciple. You need to learn at my feet. So it's not about going to church and doing activities. It's about understanding the master you are serving. It is very, very disappointing for you to have been doing so much activity, and unfortunately, you are putting a round peg in a square hole. It doesn't fit. So, for you to understand how communication is to be used effectively, you need to understand the term communication itself. All right, and this is why we are laying emphasis on our very first class to talk about what communication is. Then we can move to who a listener, an effective listening comprehension, formal letters, word stress, and so on and so forth. All right. All of these things are embedded in communication. So, like I said earlier, this is the all and sundry of communication. To start with, it is a process. Okay. Now, what I mean by communication is a process is that communication is not done in isolation. All right. Communication is not done in isolation. All right. Communication is not done in isolation. Now, what does this mean? For a communication to take place, it's just like we would say, there can never be a fire, a spark. There must always be a spark, then this leads to smoke, or and then before you know there is fire. Or we can say there's no fire without the smoke. All right. So basically, communication does not happen in isolation. It starts with an intention. All right. Communication starts with an intention. Okay. Now, what do I mean by communication starts with an intention? For you as an individual who wants to communicate, you are very intentional and you are deliberate about the ability to want to communicate. So there's an intention, there's an ability, there's a willingness, there's an urge towards start that process. And when that process is being started, something very crucial is created. Something very crucial is created. All right. And communication is not limited to information alone. All right. But we usually use information because information is more like an umbrella. All right. Umbrella name for every other things. Communication functions well. Information under this definition as an umbrella. Communication could be instruction. All right. Communication could be shouting, could be sounds. Communication could be reflex. All right. Communication could be, all right, motion. Communication could be anything that makes sense. All right. That's why we use information. We do not use data. All right. Because, when we talk about data now, data has not been processed. When data is being processed, then it becomes information. Data is 5, 3, 84, 62, 79. Those are data. Heights, black, yellow, tall, short, valley. Those are data. But when you now say, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, then that is information. That makes sense. When you just tell somebody 1, 2, 3, 4, and person will be like, what is this person trying to pass to me? Does this person want me to recite the numerics? Or does this person want me to pick something? It doesn't make sense. All right. So we are using information because information has already been processed. You have something in mind, you've already cooked something in mind that you want to pass across. So that thing is information, and that is the reason why you started this process. All right. So this process is started. All right. Communication. This is the process that you started, and it's for the purpose of this. Now, information here could be, please help me pick something. That's an instruction. Information could be, please leave my site. That could be something. Information could be, please go home, prepare me rice and beans. That could be something. All right. Anything that makes sense is information as compared to data. Data doesn't really make sense, but information makes sense of data. And without data, there cannot be information. And that data is what you have in mind. But you see, the process of presenting it is now information. All right. So I'm taking you into GST103. I think that one has been changed. Computer fundamental. You take that in computer fundamental data. All right. So when you start this process, this is the reason why I started the process. You have something in mind to share, which is information. All right. So this information is then encoded. Okay. This information is then encoded. Now, why do we need encoding? Okay, let's put information here. Please, if you are new, this is a new channel. All right. The system has improved. We have a complete class on GST101, over 25 classes with revisions of for like maybe like 10 revisions. All right, because every semester we have revisions of all these courses. So if you need former classes of GST101, we have it on our former channel. All right, but as you can see now, the course material has been updated, it has been improved, it has been revised, and it has been changed to GST101. So certain things have changed. This is why we now created this channel, all right, to treat the new pattern, to treat the new GST101, which is now GST111. All right. So it will be a good thing for you to still go through this GST101, the former one we have done, because it will help you a lot. It will lay a proper foundation for GST111. So you are encouraged to join the private class. It's just for a token. And even though you don't have money to join, don't worry, reach out to us. We can make an arrangement for you. All right. But you know, when it comes to getting correct value, when it comes to getting proper value, you definitely have to present value as well. So it's an exchange of value. So as I was explaining, we have process which we said it is not done in isolation, meaning you have to be intentional. And we said information here, information, all right, is the data processed, all right, to pass across, to pass across. It is the data process that you want to pass across, and you have to be intentional about passing it across because that is where it now makes sense. So for something to make sense, you have to be intentional about your presentation. All right. So it's about the presentation now that leads us to encoding. All right. So that leads us to for you to encode the information. Encode. Now, you see when we talk about encoding of information, we are simply saying that, let's say, for example, you know very well that I am a Yoruba person. Okay, I barely understand Igbo or Hausa. All right, I understand the basics. So you want to communicate, all right, with me now, and you know very well that this is an oral communication, whereby you will communicating orally, or let's use the word verbally. We're communicating verbally. I have words. I have words. Communicating. I can hear you. You can hear me. And you now begin to speak in Hausa or Igbo, and you know very well that I don't understand that. All right, you have failed in your presentation. I cannot I cannot understand it. So for you to encode, you need to encode in such a way, a pattern or manner in which the person you are sending information to will understand. And that's why we say first is communication skill. Communication skill in what? In English. We will not be talking about this course. We will not be teaching this course. It was communication skill in French. It was communication skill in Spanish because we don't understand Spanish. And we are not here to learn about Spanish. All right. But this is communication skill in English. And English happens to be a lingua franca in this country. So we can understand this course. We then do this course because it is in English and we understand English. So this course has been encoded in a language we speak and understand. So this communication, the information, don't forget, communication is all about information. So the information you are acquiring during the process of studying this course will be effective. Why? Because it has been encoded in a way that you will understand. It has been presented. So a presentation. So it has been presented, it has been packaged in such a way that we will understand the course itself. So we have this as presentation, right, of the information. Now, this presentation also acts as a safeguard the information because this course as we speak can be understood by someone whose lingua franca is Dutch or German. All right, it can. Why? Because it's not for them. If it was for them, then it would be written in Dutch. And that's why we have books, the Bible being translated in different languages, so that it's not limited to a particular tribe. All right. So it's also a form of security. It's a form of guiding the information. All right. So you are simply saying that this information that you have encoded in English, this information that you have, this encoding can also be encrypted. Encrypt, when you encrypt, meaning you write in a particular language that can only be understood by the person you want he or she to receive the message. So you encrypt it. So the person can only decrypt because the person understands. And that's why you see archaeologists, they do a very great job because there are ancient languages that we don't even understand, we don't know. But they will go as far as helping us to interpret it. It's their job. All right. That's why we might not be able to read things that happen. We might, based on research, tablets that are of stones that have existed for maybe 500 years can be discovered, but we cannot get the information written on the tablet because it's not in English, it's not in our language, it has been encrypted. So for us to now understand that information, it has to be decrypted. So it's a form of protection of your information, all right, in the sense that this presentation can only be understood by the people you want them to understand it. Are we together? Please, if you don't understand anything, let me know in the comment section. Okay, I can see the comment section is busy. Okay, it's great to have you on board. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for joining us. Okay, somebody's asking, when exam comes, will you be the one to set the question, sir? It's a very good question. Thank you for that question. I love that question. Well, it's a very in the I'll attempt that question. Let's just still continue. It's a very good question, but I'll attempt it. Let's still continue with classes. Okay. So we understand now that you need to encode because you are trying to save that information so that the right person can get it. All right, that's why you encode. So now that we are done with encode, then you have to choose a channel. The channel. Every process goes through a channel. All right, every process has its own system. So we have channel. Now, for this channel, we are simply talking about the right means of sending the information. All right, the right means of sending the information. All right, so the channel could be orally, it could be verbally, it could be electronically. All right, any way you want to send your information is what we refer to as the channel. Now, this channel also has to do with, all right, it has to do with symbols, your key, your control to getting that message. So, knowing fully well, you need to choose the right channel through which you know that the person you are sending information to can access and receive. All right. So we have the channel is the means that the information, all right, follows, or the path. Let's use the paths that the information follows. And lastly, we have, okay, we still have two to go. I was thinking I can squeeze this in, but I'm not really sure that is possible. Okay. Somebody is saying, sorry, please, I'm just seeing, I thought it was GST101. Probably you might not know, but GST101 has been changed to GST111. All right, so it used to be GST101 before, but now it has currently been changed. The course code has been changed. So you need to go back. You need to rewind the class and go and check, go and recheck. I explained all of this and I explained why the change has been effected. So we have the code. Let me not put the code. Let me just put the code here. So the code I've talked about it before now. So when we talk about the code, it's just like you are unraveling. Someone sends you a gift, you need to unravel, you need to unbox, you need to open the gift to know what is in. You need to open the box, or the package to see or to access the gift in the box. All right. So the coding now has to do with you, all right, interpreting what has been I use the word encrypt. So it means you decrypting. So whether it's encrypting or decrypting, encoding or decoding, the most important thing is that the message was sent to you and you are processing it. You are processing the message. So if the person has the right channel, you can never even decode. In our class the other day, I used an example of a satellite dish, like all this GSTV. Having GSTV was not good enough. You have to have the dish, you have to have the decoder, then you also have to have a TV. Do you understand? You have to have the dish, the decoder, and the TV. So now, the dish now is one that brings the signal, not from the way it is. The signals are actually in the air, but it's not displayed on your TV because you don't have the dish to receive the signal. So with the help of the dish, the signal is being received. And given that the signal can be there and it is useless because there is nothing to help. You cannot even see the signal, you cannot feel it. And the signals are there. You know how many billions of signals are in the air flying over our roofs. But you get to know by the time you have an antenna or a dish that can tap into that realm of signals. And that's why I mean the DSTV dish as an example. So with the help of it wasn't shared with me. Okay, no problem. For the material, just reach out to me for the material. The material is on our website. It's on our website. You can always get the material. I can share the link to the website so you can download the material. All right. So with the help of the dish, you can get the signal, and once you get the signal, you need the decoder, all right, to help you encrypt the signal. That is the job of the decoder. It encrypts, it decodes what has been encoded in that signal. So once it decodes, you still need your TV to be connected to the HDMI to still receive the message further. All right. So with the help of this TV, is now made presentable to you to consume. So when you now consume, you are now satisfied, you are now entertained, then you can now resubscribe to the DSTV subscription. It's the same thing with communication. There's an information the company wants you to enjoy. All right. So you need a dish. All right. So the dish now, the information is a signal and it has been encoded. So it has to be sent through, all right, the channel, all right, is a DSTV system, the package, all right, which is also, the dish is also in this, all right, in this category. So with the help of the dish, you cannot decode, you can receive, all right, you can process the information. Okay, you receive, you process the information, and once you do that through your decoder, then once you receive, you process, you enjoy, then you give a feedback. Oh, I love that program. Oh, I need to go and watch football. So once you have enjoyed the entertainment, your feedback now you subscribe or go to their website and give good feedbacks. Oh, I love the process. So basically what it is, and if there's no feedback, trust me, communication is not effective. The feedback is very important as far as the information is important. You can imagine you talking to someone that, please, can you get me a cup of coffee? You have passed the information, all right? So you only get to know that the information was effective or was well received when the person actually brings you the cup of coffee. You know, you can even tell the person to please get me a cup of coffee and I don't want cream. All right. You know that the person can actually hear that you said that he or she should get you a cup of coffee, but the detail in the information, the person did not pay attention. Then the person gets you a coffee and added a cream, or I beg your pardon, and added some cream. Would you say the information was effective? No, because the person did not actually follow the instruction and gave you wrong feedback. So it's very important whether you are giving passing information or you, and that's how you see, you keep hearing when I say, please, as you join the class, do out to use the comment section. All right. If there's something that I might have said you don't understand, draw my attention to it. All right. Share the link of this class to your groups. All right. Share the links to the group. Let them be aware that there's a class we will be taking, not just one, but multiple classes continuously. All right. Apart from the classes, the TMA question and answers are also available. Support the keynotes during the exam and revision classes. And there's a private class where we can walk you through all your courses. So it's very important. And you hear us say, oh, use the comment section, subscribe, like. And if you have not also liked the class, please like the class. Okay. So we have that as that. So the feedback is also very, very important. God confirm that yes, your information was received. Are we together? So we have that that our time is fast spent. So I believe we have been able to, all right, talk about communication properly in this class. All right, I believe I've been able to talk about communication properly. So in our next class, which should be tomorrow, we are going to start. Okay, we are going to start properly from listening. All right, listening as an enabling skill. All right, now that we know what communication is, all right, and no matter how a communication system is very effective and very smooth, if you are not listening, all right, it's a big detriment to any information being sent. Just like we're in the class now, I'm taking out time to explain things to you. If you are being distracted, listening does not actually, it's not limited to, all right, you paying attention, all right, because you can actually be listening without paying attention. And are we together? And by that, the communication will not be effective, as you will not be able to give a correct feedback. You'll not get what we call comprehension, because comprehension is also feedback. You're not able to get comprehension because in between, you're not listening effectively. So in our next class, we're going to talk about what it takes to listen, right? And as a student, it's one of the major communication skills you need to possess as a student, listening. Because if you don't listen, there's no way you can do well academically. All right. So as I said earlier, communication is not just one to passing of information, it goes a long way. And in the course of us taking this course, you will understand better. All right. You will begin to realize that communication is not what you think of it. It is actually more, it is versatile, it is so wide that a whole lot of things are involved. So thank you very much, everyone. And here is where we call it a wrap today. With this information, with this class, I believe you have a proper understanding on the revision, the update on GST101 and GST111, 101 and GST101, the difference between two courses. Right? And we've also talked about communication, and we have considered the recipes. Okay? We've considered the recipe that makes up communication. Speaking of process, information. Remember, we also talked about data when we were talking about information. So I'm giving you guys a prompt into GST103, Computer Fundamentals, because we're going to treat that when we get to that course. We talked about encoding, which I also said this could be encrypting. All right. And we talked about a channel. All right. The parts, the chosen parts. The sender must also understand this part. If there will be a problem, there will be a mix-up. So we also talked about decoding, which is when you receive, when you encrypt, when you unbox. All right. And the most important part as information is feedback, which is your comprehension as a student. If you don't comprehend your course, you cannot pass it. And that's why you see students they will go into the exam or they will fail. It's not that they are not smart, it's not that they are not intelligent. These students are doing well in their businesses, they are doing well in other things. So why do they fail this course? It's because they've not been able to attain comprehension due to lack of effective listening. All right. So this course is an eye opener. It's designed to help you, to usher you into your academic career, into your program in the National University of Nigeria. Because this course is not limited to just GST111. It will also help you in other courses. So you don't want to joke with this course. All right. So do well to go back to the class. If you want it, and go back and rewatch. And I will see you in the class tomorrow. Thank you very much once again. I really appreciate you joining the class today. And don't forget, like I said, we have a private class. This is where we hold you by your hand. We support you, not just 1 week, not just 1 month, but throughout the semester. We have students who have been with us since their 100 level and their 400 level second semester. We've been in this for a very long time, and we keep helping and aiming to assist students get better in whatever they do academically. I remain your humble tutor, Coach Ayo, and I look forward to seeing you all in subsequent tutorials. And just for those of us that might want to reach out to us, our official website is coachayo.com. All right, you can go there and find the chat button. The chat button at the bottom left-hand corner. Use us as a direct message. I'll be happy to respond to you. Have a wonderful day, and bye for now. Very quickly, yeah, about the question you asked. You said, when it's time for exam? Okay, about that question now, it's a very simple thing. Okay, like I used to tell my students, National University is a lot of people say it's very difficult, but I tell my students it's not difficult. Now, this is why I say so. There are just 3 things you need to do, 3 model, and you are good. You come out with your upper credits, your distinction, no problem. Okay. Now, first thing first, we call it early studying. And by early studying, you cannot do it on your own. All right. Early studying, you cannot do it on your own. You have to join a community of individuals, of your classmates who are very intentional and particular about their courses. Early studying. All right. TMA. All right. Secure good grades in your TMA. And if you happen to become a member of our community too, this is what we assist you with. And once you have that, examination. Now, examination is an embodiment of revision and keynote. I said keynote, not summaries. Not summaries, but keynotes. Embodiment of revision and keynote. Now, early class, TMA. Now, classes now, we've taken all your courses. You have attended all your courses. YouTube, Telegram, WhatsApp, one-on-one, done and dusted. TMA, after the solving of TMA for 3030, we are still able to help you gather questions from the other students. So, like only you now, you're having access to a bank of maybe 100 questions in one course. You have accessed it, you've gone through it. Now, revision, you now get keynotes. Keynote now is my personal notes I use in taking classes. All right. So, all the things that I've been teaching you, the one we've had together in one-on-one, the one you've seen in TMA, the TMA question we gave to you, everything you see it in the keynote. Now, if you have these 3 strategies worked out, trust me, no matter the question, one thing you need to understand that your questions are not set outside your materials. Note that your questions are not set outside your materials. Your questions are set in. The questions are from the material. So if you have these 3 dusted out, okay, don't wait for facilitation. No. Facilitation, don't even wait. Don't bother yourself. I'm not saying don't attend, but at least this is the 4th week now. We started taking classes. Facilitation cannot cover that. So if you have these 3 things dusted out, you are rest assured that no matter the question is set in the exam, you will confidently answer it. I think I've answered that question. Okay. So thank you very much for that. We have other classes in this class, so we have to go now. I will, all right, be seeing you all in class tomorrow. Please Don't forget to share. If you have not subscribed, subscribe to the channel and also help us to, all right, share to other students. Let them be aware of what we are doing. And bye for now.